Hello everyone, welcome to Plutus IAS. This side CS Sonali. We are going to discuss GS3 paper 2024 and in that I will take internal security section. Before starting the discussion, I want to tell you that, just give me a moment. Yes, I was telling you before starting the discussion on the internal security questions, firstly I want to tell you one thing, that in this paper, in the GS3 paper, internal security questions are 9th, 10th and 19th and 20th, and every year basically UPSC follows the same pattern. It means if you will multiply these two questions are of 10 marks, then it will be 20 marks and this will be of basically 30 marks. So total comes out to be 50 marks. So you are able to understand the significance of the internal security in the GS3 paper. It amounts around 50 marks. So starting with the first 9th question, and every question I will firstly tell you to which syllabus topic you can relate the particular question, and I will also show you the previous year question with which you can relate the particular question. In the internal security, I would recommend you to complete the syllabus and also cover the previous year questions. If you have covered both of them, then there is a guarantee that you will be able to write the 4 questions in the GS3 paper of the internal security. And secondly, I want to tell you you need to update the examples with the current affairs as well. And if I would tell you the GS3 paper, around 8 questions are of economy, that includes agriculture as well. That is from 1 to 4th question and 11th to 14th question, and apart from this 4 questions are of the internal security, and I would recommend you to basically focus on these 12 questions with which you will be able to basically cover for 150 marks, because the rest part, that is science and technology, environment and disaster management, there is very difficult to predict the questions of these topics. But yes, economy and the internal security you can predict with the syllabus and the previous year questions. Now starting with the 9th question, that is the first question of the internal security. Explain how narco-terrorism has emerged as a serious threat across the country. Suggest suitable measures to counter narco-terrorism. As I have already told you, I will tell you the syllabus with which you can relate, and I will show you the previous year question. Before that, I want to tell you that while reading any question, you need to look at the keyword on which key topic that UPSC is being focusing here. Here the key topic is narco-terrorism, and then after looking the basically key topics, you have to look at the directive words. Here the word is used is how the narco-terrorism has emerged as a serious threat. Now this from this you can decide, basically you have to write about the 2 things. Firstly, you can write about the reasons. What are the reasons for the narco-terrorism to emerge in India? And secondly, you can write the basically impact of this, like why this is a serious threat across the country. After this, third key part is the suggest suitable measures. So in every question, firstly you will recognize the key topic that is asked. Then you will look for the directive words which will decide the answer, that on that topic what points you need to write. Thirdly, you will also divide your answer into the sub parts. For example, here the broad 2 headings will be made. One is narco-terrorism emerged as a serious threat, and secondly measures to counter the narco-terrorism. As you know, this is of 10 marks and you will be given 2 pages. It means you can divide on the one page you can write the first part, and on the second page you can write about the measures. Now in this also, the first part we have divided into the further 2 subparts. This way you can basically write your answer and you can effectively utilize the space given. And also in the internal security, I would recommend you to always make a use of the maps here, because with the maps you can show major threats for the India. Like in map you can show the golden crescent and the golden triangle. In the golden crescent, basically 3 countries are near to the neighboring to the India, with which basically we have a drug trafficking problem. One is Afghanistan, Pakistan and Iran, and the other one is on the eastern side we have a golden triangle, that is Myanmar, Laos and Thailand, due to which basically the drug trafficking problem is continuing. And now basically this question you can relate it with the topic is linkages of the organized crime and the terrorism. Here the organized crime is the drug trafficking. So you can think of how the narco-terrorism is the interconnection between the drug trafficking and the terrorism. And you can also make the use of simple diagrams in the exam, so that you will be able to basically write more effectively to get more marks. And now the previous year questions with which you can relate this particular question, like in this question, analyze the complexity and the intensity of the terrorism, its causes, linkages and obnoxious nexus. Then next part is suggest measures required to be taken to eradicate the menace of the terrorism. Now in this question, firstly it is talking about the linkages between the organized crime and the terrorism and the measures. So directly if you have prepared 2021 question, then you can obviously write this question as well. In 2022 as well, they have asked about the different types of the organized crime and describe the linkages between them. And in 2018, they have asked, India is the proximity to the 2 of the world's biggest illicit opium growing states. So from the previous year question itself, you can drive out 1 point as a reason, like why narco-terrorism is growing in India. So are you able to understand like why the syllabus is important? And secondly, the previous year questions always guides the answers of the current years as well. Now in this question, firstly you will define what is narco-terrorism, as it is an intersection of the drug trafficking and the terrorism. So basically it has 2 subparts, like either the drug cartels are using the terrorism tactics to continue their drug trafficking, as it is seen in the Colombia and the Mexico. And the other case could be the terrorist groups may be involved in the drug trade, because with the drug trade whatever the revenue would come, it will be helping to continue the terrorist activities. For example, the Taliban in the Afghanistan having around 80% of the opium growing area in the Afghanistan. So this way you can explain the narco-terrorism. You can draw the map in the exam to show the golden crescent and the golden triangle, and with the simple map you can also show how the drug is infiltrating to our country. Like try to make simple maps on the exam, like you can show how the Rajasthan and the Punjab, through which the drugs are basically coming into the country, and even you can show the Cox's Bazar area of the Bangladesh, and then you can show the here Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, and you can also draw the golden crescent. Like try to make these simple maps on the paper, and you will be able to draw on the exam day only if you have practiced it. If you will think you will just going to imagine this and then you will be able to do that, it will never happen. Now what are the reasons of basically narco-terrorism to spread in India? is the first, I have all told you, this is the proximity, and the second reason is the socio-economic factors, because due to the socio-economic factors like poverty, unemployment, basically terrorists are able to radicalize our youth. As we have seen this kind of situation in the J&K, and these are having the transnational nature of the trade, and now we have open and the porous borders, due to which the basically surveillance becomes difficult, and our governance system is also weak. Like why the basically drugs are able to enter the borders? Obviously there is a weak enforcement of the laws, and there is a problem of the corruption. That is why it is able to continue. And porous borders, use of technology, as due to the complexity and the high-end technology, basically our police personals, they are not trained enough to tackle these kind of technologies and to use this. This is why we are not able to track them. And the seventh one is obviously there is a linkages between the organized crimes. That is why it is very difficult to basically surveillance. And now you can make a diagram also, like if I would say the organized crime and on the other side is terrorism. You can show like how drugs, through the drugs trafficking, the terrorism getting the money, and terrorism basically providing the parallel government to them and the safe shelter so that they can continue their organized crime. So they are sharing the logistics between each other, due to which they are able to continue. And then obviously you can tell why it is a threat, like there are political reasons that it can destabilize the government. It is also targeting the drug addicted youth. Our youth will be becoming the basically losing our demographic dividend, and it will also create the fear in the minds of the public. And also funding extremist groups through the drug trafficking. The internal security challenges are also there, like LWE and the Naxalism, and it will also reduce the FDI threat to the infrastructure. This way you can write whenever you have to write about the impact. Like for example, if the question is on the money laundering, terrorism, this way you can divide your discussion like political impact, social impact, and the economic impact, and the internal security challenges. Now I want to tell you, like in the internal security, make a rule whenever you will write about the measures, you will always write in this way. Like firstly, write about the legal measure taken in with regard to anything, like whether it is a question about the cyber crime, money laundering, or any topic it is talking about. You need to basically have some kind of template prepared in advance, so that you will be just able to give the examples. Like for example, here you can write about the UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Under this, recently we have also made an amendment that even an individual can be tagged as a terrorist. You can also write about the Money Laundering Act. We have a Narcotics Act. So these kind of legal measures taken for the basically this. And then you can write about the institutional measures, like whatever the institutions created for this, like we have a ED, we have a basically for this, and we have a Netra. And then you can write about the infrastructure created for this particular. Then do mention about the social steps, like if any kind of social awareness is being created, or for any kind of social persuasion, like we have a kind of perception management program going in the J&K and the Northeast regions. This kind of programs you can write in the social step. Then you can write about the international measure. Like we have a UN Convention against terrorism. We have also Convention against organized crime. You can mention about these kind of international steps. So whenever you're writing a question on the internal security, try to divide your discussion whether you're writing the measures like taken already or whether you want to write like which of the measures need to be taken. Then divide your answer in this way. Then you will be able to give at least 5 points each and then give the examples. Now next question, 10th number question. Here the basically context and the salient features of the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023 is being asked. As I promised, I will also show you one thing, that the syllabus to which you can relate this particular topic. Secondly, I will also show you the previous year question with which you can relate it with. First is the syllabus. It can be linked to the internal security through the communication networks, role of media, social networking sites, and the basics of the cyber security. Due to these topics, this question was expected, and even in the past, they have already asked about the data security has assured the significant importance in digitized world due to rising cyber crimes. The Justice B.N. Shri Krishna Committee report addresses the issues relating to the data security. What in your view are the strengths and weaknesses of the report relating to the protection of the personal data? So in 2018, they have already asked about the B.N. Shri Krishna Committee, which has given the basically recommendations to do for the protection of the personal data. As recently in the 2023, the Personal Data Protection Act was passed. That is why the question was expected on it. And in fact, the basis of cyber security is mentioned in your syllabus. So now, you need to basically understand what is the need was there of the basically this particular act. As in India, we have not a standalone law that for the data protection. And secondly, after the Puttaswamy judgment of 2017, which has given the right to privacy, so to implement that and to provide the fundamental right to privacy, we need a data protection law. That is why this was brought. And now the question was asking about the salient features of this. And maybe you have not prepared the law in as such, but if you are covering the current affairs, then you must know about the why the data has been brought and what are the features were there, and these are being discussed in the editorials, like what is the problem here, like we have not given the right to be forgotten. So there must be some kind of rights given to the basically data holders, and this is why basically you can write some general points at least even if you don't know about the particular facts or the features of the law. But in this it has a scope and applicability. It is applicable to the all kinds of data, whether in the digital form, it has been collected online, offline, or maybe it is also linked to the data within India or the foreign entities dealing with the Indian citizen data. And then the personal data, focusing on the protecting personal data, which is any data that can identify an individual. So after this, it also defines like what is data fiduciary and the data principal. Data fiduciary are the one that basically processes the data. They are responsible for collecting and processing the personal data. Data principals are one, whose data or the individual like us, the data of whom will be processed or collected. So these are the definitions given, and after this we will understand the basically rights of the data principal and the duties of the data fiduciary. And it also says the data processing is being done on the consent basis. Then what are the rights of the data principals? Right to access is given. We have also given the right to correction and the right to erasure. Like if under certain conditions, if there are some conditions, then it needs to be erased. And right to data portability has also been given, and the grievance redressal has been given. Now the obligations of the data fiduciaries are they have to make a reasonable effort so that to see whether the data is complete and accurate, and they have also need to provide the reasonable security for the data. And recently the 13 has also said that Aadhaar data is vulnerable. Now we have to see there is a need of cyber security in India, as the data is basically very important, and if it is lost, then it can lead to the hazardous situation, and we need to erase the personal data as soon as the purpose has been met. I have already told you the right to eraser has been given. And after this, if we see the difference between the earlier drafts that were existing and now the new 2023 Act, the difference is was the cross-border data transfer was allowed. Earlier, Indian government was reluctant to provide this kind of right to cross-border the data, and this was also discussed in the Osaka track. And you can say in the WTO, for the cross-border data transfer, India was having a dispute, but now in the recent act in 2023, Indian government has allowed to do so. And other difference, if we see from the 2013 draft, is the European Union GDPR, that is a global data protection rights. We have also complied with it, and even in 2019 prelims, they have asked to which country or the region GDPR relates with. And this is how whenever something remains in the discussion or in the newspapers, those factual things are being asked by the UPSC, because they expect you are following the current affairs and you are aware what is happening. And this was asked in 2019 prelims. Now, what are the concerns with regard to it? First is the exemption given to the government, as in the Supreme Court in the Puttaswamy judgment has held that the infringement of the right to privacy should not be there. But here it has been said the central government by notification can exempt certain activities of the application of the bill. It means the data privacy or the data protection has been left to the central government discretion if they decide to do so. It means the risk of surveillance would be there by the government, and the bill does not regulate the risk of the harm arising from the processing of the personal data, because we have said the processing of the personal data has been given and the right to be forgotten has not been provided. And it is in news because if we see the reformative justice, whenever someone has done the crime and he has completed his crime trial and he was in jail of that period that was there, but after that if he is coming from the jail, then that person should be given the right to live normal life. But if his crime details is already available on the internet, then maybe that person will not be able to integrate with the society. As our reformative justice says, the integration into the society to the criminals should be there, but the right to forgotten has not been given. So these are some of the changes needs to be done. And even the exemption for the central government, here some kind of independent committee can be set up that can decide which of the factors can be taken for the exemption to the central government. Now next, 19th question, it is talking about the long and troubled border with the China and Pakistan, fraught with the contentious issues. Examine the conflicting issues and the security challenges. As I have already told you, always look out for the keywords about which UPSC is asking. Here firstly the keyword is the border with the China and Pakistan, and the first part is asking about the issues and security challenges along the border. Second part is asking about the border area development program and the border infrastructure and management. So if we divide the question into parts, here are two broad parts. First is basically you need to mention about the issues, and the second part is you need to write about these programs. But this further can be divided into further two parts. It means there are four parts of the question. Firstly, if you are writing about the issues, then you have to write about the China and the Pakistan. And then whenever you are writing about the development, here also two parts are given, BADP and BIM. So here are four parts, and this is 15 marker. It means you will be given 3 pages. So this is how you can divide your space given. Now in this question, it is asking about the China and Pakistan. Firstly, you need to see the syllabus with which you can relate it with security challenges and their management in the border area. So border area management is already in your syllabus. And secondly, this was asked in the previous year question as well. Like it is saying the border management is a complex task due to difficult terrain and the hostile relations with some countries. Here some countries you can relate it with the Pakistan and the China. Now in the 2016 they have asked also about the China-Pakistan economic corridor, that is a subset of the One Belt One Road. Here basically again the relations between the China and Pakistan impact on the India is being discussed or being focused. So these are the two previous year question to which you can relate the 2024 question. I have told you about the syllabus. Third thing, it was in news, it was in throughout since 2020 it was expected that some kind of disputed area was there between the India and China. You can look at this map, as I have already told you, you need to draw the simple maps on the paper to show the disputed areas. Here you can show about the Depsang Plains, this was in news. Then you can write about the Galwan Valley, and in fact Daulat Beg Oldi Dam was in news. And you can also show the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. There is a Pangong Taso Lake, that was also Damchok was in news. Depsang, Demchok, Galwan, Daulat Beg Oldi. And you can also write about the Siachen Glacier, Saksham Valley, and the Aksai Chin. You can also show the Gilgit region. So this is how basically on the map you can show some of the region. And in fact in the northeast region you can also show the problem in the Arunachal Pradesh. Like how there is a problem in the Arunachal Pradesh, how the basically visas has been given by the China to the Arunachal Pradesh people. Now this is how basically you can show on the map. Nubra Valley was also asked in the prelims. This has been asked twice in the paper. And while after drawing the map, you also need to write some points like with the China, there is a border dispute in the Aksai Chin, Arunachal Pradesh, and the Doklam standoff was also there. Security challenges include military build-up and the LAC violations. With the Pakistan also we have a Kashmir issue, cross-border terrorism issue, and the infiltration. So these kind of basically problems you can write. Now if we look at specifically the China-India disputes, I have already told you about the Aksai Chin, Arunachal Pradesh, Saksham Valley and the Sikkim region. And then you can write about the Pakistan, Siachen Glacier, Run of Kutch, Sar Creek, Jammu and Kashmir. And even if we look at the basically current affairs, recently our External Affairs Minister has said, for India, China is not a basically general problem. This is basically special China problem for the India. As for the Western countries like US, they are having a general China problem. So they are tackling in a way by creating the international organization. Like we have also joined the Quad group. And here we are also looking to diversify the supply chain. We are also focusing on the maritime security. There is a Malabar exercise in the Quad. And also we have also joined the Indo-Pacific strategy of the US. It means India is already working in some kind of projects that is basically to counter the China infrastructure, as the China is building OBOR. But the thing is, like, as per External Affairs Minister, for the India it is not a general China problem, rather it is a special China problem, because we are neighboring states. It means where the China can create the problem at the borders, and in fact it can also influence our other neighbors as well, as China is following the debt trap diplomacy. It means in this question, while writing about the issues with the China, although you need to write about the borders, but you can also use the knowledge of the international relations. There you read about the debt trap diplomacy, like Sri Lankan port Hambantota has been taken on the lease by the China. This is how basically it is impacting our neighborhoods. And secondly, you can also write about the trade deficit problem with the China, and there is a scrutiny of the Chinese investments, ongoing border standoffs, and in fact there is a basically phrase like, with the China we have a no war no peace stand. And in fact this was in discussion in 2023, like we need to move from the no war no peace to the war situation, as in the Galwan Valley war we have also seen our to score our borders we had to have a war with the China in this standoff. So are you able to understand like how you can write about the issues with the China, and you can write about the current affairs as well, like writing about the special China problem, and try to broaden your dimension as well. Just don't write about the borders issues, like that you can show on the map as well, like the Psang and the Imchok at the Galwan Valley issue, Saichin area, about the Arunachal Pradesh, but then write about the other dimensions as well, like there is a trade deficit, and in the debt trap diplomacy, the problem created with the neighborhoods. This way you can broaden your dimension. And with the Pakistan also you need to write about the other issues as well, like due to the basically porous borders and the proxy war taken by the Pakistan, there is a problem of the drug trafficking in India, as we have already discussed about the Golden Crescent. So you do mention about this also, and also write about the proxy war, and it also creates a problem while maintaining the relationships with the Afghanistan as well, or with the Central Asia. And you also need to write about the, basically if we look at the Pakistan and the China, we have a SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. You can mention in the basically way forward or the conclusion, like we can make use of this organization to strengthen the relationship with both the countries. After writing about the problems, you need to write about the BIM and the Border Area Development Program. Now maybe like if you are appearing for the exam, there could be a chance that you don't know about these programs, but you need to think, if you need to drive the basically some basic points from the header itself, like it is talking about the Border Area Development Program, and it is talking about the infrastructure. So the first program is asking about the border area development. So maybe we are building the infrastructure in the border area, or maybe we are basically developing social indicators, like providing the employment there, providing the jobs to people, providing the education sector. So these kind of developments will be done in the border area. And the infrastructure, if you know about any of the infrastructure that is being recently built at the China-India or the basically India-Pakistan border, then do mention about that. Like for example, if any dam or any kind of infrastructure was in news, do mention about that. And at least you can write about the Bolt QIT, this was in news, that has been to use the technology at the border surveillance. And the border infrastructure scheme, it is focusing on the basically creation of the infrastructure, border floodlights, border outposts, and do like whenever you are preparing for the border area, border development program or the border management, it is being mentioned in the syllabus. So there do learn about the infrastructure that is required at the borders, because you need to write about the specific points here. Maybe you don't know about the what number of basically outposts has been created, but if you know like border fences are required, border floodlights are required, this way you can write at least basically general answer. So mention about the border fence, border floodlights, border outposts. And then border area development program, it focuses on the development needs, remote and inaccessible areas situated near the international border. There we focus on the participatory approach with the people, so that the people will not be radicalized by them or misused by their people there. Like for example, in the J&K, we are developing the infrastructure so that the radicalization of the youth can be reduced. I have also given the basically some of the examples here in the slides, like we have built a Nimo Padam Darsha Road, Shinkula Tunnel, Arunachal Pradesh Frontier Highway, Sangal Tunnel, or Lipu Lake Pass Road. It means in the news, if you are basically cramming something, some project for the prelims, that you can make a use in the mains examination. So here always follow the syllabus first. Then do look at the previous year questions that can always guide you, like what is important in the current affairs for you. Like if you have covered the current affairs, then you will be able to write the specific and the new points that will give you the authenticity to your answer. Now moving to last question of the day. It is a 20th question, and it is asking about the social media and the encrypting messaging services pose a serious security challenge. What measures have been adopted? At various levels to address the security implications of the social media. Also suggest any other remedies to address this problem. In the first question, I have already given you the basically framework how to write an answer, like how you can divide your answer into the levels, like write about the infrastructure, institutional, legal level, social awareness level, then the international step. This way you can write the steps. Here also you can utilize the same framework or the template, but here the question is talking about the social media and encrypting messages, that is creating the security challenge. Although if we look at the question, it is having only two parts. One is what measures have been taken or what needs to be taken, but it is having a one hidden dimension, that is a social media and the encrypting messages pose a serious security challenge. You need to write about this also, like how it is creating a challenge. You need to write about the reasons why it is has a capability to create a challenge. You can also write about the impact, what kind of challenge is creating it. Like for example, the social media, the anonymity factor is there, and it can be used for the funding the terrorist activities. It is also used by the terrorists for the training or the radicalizing the youth, because by using the algorithms of the social media. This was seen in the case of the Al-Qaeda, ISIS, how they are training the Indian youth. And in fact, lone wolf attack that was seen, and it was also the use of the social media also, like as the due to the social media, even the person need not to migrate to the other country to get the training for the terrorist activities. That person can get the training at his home only. And with the algorithms used, if you like see something and you like that post, or if you have seen some post and you know like how the feed repeat itself, like this kind of algorithms of the social media are being used by the basically Facebook survey also says like how the person gets the radicalized if he looks at the same kind of feed every day. So for the training, for the radicalization, for the funding, the social media is being used. In fact, in the past we have seen how the forwarded messages of the social media, it can result in the mob violence and in fact in the mob lynching. And in the past, in the previous year question, they have asked about the mob lynching and the mob violence. It means although the WhatsApp has also brought the one feature, like whenever the message is being said, it shows like it is a forwarded message. Why the WhatsApp has brought so? Because after the regulations of the government, like if you have to show that is a forwarded message, that reduces the basically authenticity of that message. Like this is not the actual message given by the sender, but rather it is a forwarded one. And now let me tell you the which syllabus topic you can relate it with. Role of media and the social networking sites in the internal security challenges. So this is the syllabus line with which you can relate it. After this, there are two previous year questions with which you can relate is use of internet and the social media by the known state actors for the subversive activities is a major concern. It means here also you need to write like how the internet and the social media services are being used by the known state actors. Like that is creating the problem. I have already given you the example Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and how have these been misused in the recent past. Suggest effective guidelines to curb the above threats. It means if you have already prepared the 2016 question, then the same question has been repeated in 2024. And in 2013 also they have asked what are the social networking sites and what are the security implications do these sites present. It means the first hidden dimension, like what are the security challenges can be tackled with the 2013 question, and the second part, what are the measures to be taken, can be taken with the 2016 question. So do prepare the syllabus and the previous year question for the internal security at least. And then what are the security challenges, like I have already told you in detail, like right to privacy, national security challenges, cyber crime issues and the misinformation. And if you have seen the Jamtara web series, there also they have shown like how the social tricking of the people, they are taking the OTPs and the ATM pins. This is how the basically in India we have a digital illiteracy. That is why it is a major challenge for the India while using the social media. And in fact the social media account handles are hacked by the people, and the basically cyber security is not there as such. So we need to build the cyber security, we need to bring the right to privacy. For this we have already brought the data protection law. And other thing I also want to tell you, like in the September only we had discussed about the recent judgment of the Bombay High Court with regard to the IT rules amendment. What was the IT rules amendment there? That the social media platforms like the Facebook, Instagram, they have to remove any content that is relating to the business of the central government if it is a false or misleading. It means the social media intermediaries have to remove the content. We have brought amendment in the IT Act, and why it was brought, because so that we can curb the situation of the hate speech or the mob violence like kind of situations. We can remove this, and if the intermediaries do not comply with these things, then they will lose the safe harbor status. It means they will be liable for the third party act. It means if any influencer is putting something, then the intermediaries will be held liable for this if they are not following or complying the IT rules. It means if we look at the basically steps taken by the government, then the IT Amendment Act, under this the fact check units are being set up to see like whether the actual fact is true or not. In fact, the recent broadcasting bill that is saying the influencer or the individuals putting the content relating to the news, they will also be taken as the news channels of the mainstream media. And the institutional steps we have taken, we have a NAT grade, CMS and the NETRA. For the surveillance purpose, we have also infrastructure for this. there is a social awareness program for the cyber swachh kendra. In fact, in the Kerala schools, the cyber knowledge is being given the relevance and the importance there. And in the international level also, there is a forum, global internet forum. So with this question, you can obviously understand like how, if you have prepared the previous year questions, you will be able to write at least decent answer. And if you are following the current affairs, you will be able to give the context to your question. It shows like introduction will be more effective, like you will be able to show, I know that why this particular question has been asked. But obviously the foremost thing need to be done is covering the syllabus and the previous year question. Then do supplement your answers with the current affairs to basically write the recent examples that will give help you to fetch more marks. Now I am concluding the discussion. I hope this discussion would help you to score more marks in the internal security part. This is of 50 marks. Now please like, share and subscribe our channel so that you can get the updates with regard to the new programs. And thank you all of you.